Hello, everybody. Welcome to our panel. This is the first time we're doing this panel here at San Diego Comic-Con. This is Production Assistant 101, Starting Your Hollywood Career. I'll be your moderator. My name is Paul Zachariah. My pronouns are he, him, and I worked as a production assistant on many shows in Los Angeles, including Westworld, Lucifer, Veronica Mars, Drunk History, Space Jam: A New Legacy, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, to name a few. And right now I'm working as an actor, writer, and director. And I'm also cosplaying as Negasonic Teenage Warhead, but that is So I wanted to start this panel to basically talk about what is the best way to get into the film business if you're interested in starting a career in film. And one of the best ways is to become a production assistant. And that's why I've invited several of these talented individuals, many of who I've worked with, to talk about their experiences about how to best get into film, to see which department that you best fit into, whether it's assistant directing, sound, editing, production design, locations, post-production, writing, whatever the case may be. Production assistant is the way to start. And I'm going to let these folks introduce themselves, starting with.
Hello. My name is Brandon. I am still a production assistant. I work on Grey's Anatomy. I work on a brand new show called Dr. Odyssey that will be on ABC this fall, right before Grey's Anatomy. I've worked on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Hey, I'm Ken. I was an office PA and a writer's PA. I worked on Fresh Out of Code, Unstable for Netflix, Nude for Apple, Diary of a Future President for ABC, and currently I am a production coordinator and script coordinator.
Hi, my name is EJ, and I was a production assistant, but now I am a DGA trainee. It's a program to learn how to become an assistant director. I worked on as a PA or trainee as well. Abbott Elementary, The Rookie, season 4, Unprisoned, season 2, and just name a few.
Hi, I'm Anna Terabello. Oh, sorry. Hi, I'm Anna Terabello. I started as a post-production assistant, and then I became an assistant editor, where I worked on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Marvel's Hellstrom. I worked on season 1 of Cruel Summer, American Horror Stories, and currently I'm editing on Wizards Beyond Waverly Place, which is the Wizards of Waverly Place sequel.
Hi, I'm Esra Darwish. I'm a DGA second AD. I was a set PA, and I was also a DGA trainee. I worked on such things as Barry, Me Time, Escape from Spiderhead, Night Swim, The Curse of La Llorona. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Marisa Ferre. I also was a DGA trainee. I am now currently a key second D. And over the years, I've been doing this for a little while. Over the years, I worked on Legally Blonde, Meet the Fockers, Austin Powers Gold Member, Scandal, and most recently, I seem to be stuck at Grey's Anatomy for many seasons. But yes, and I'm key second on that.
There we go. Hi, James Moran. If I tell you guys my PA credits, you won't know any of them because it's been a long time since I did that. Currently, I'm a first AD, DJ first AD, producer, and director. And I've worked a lot with, anybody heard of a little company called Blumhouse? Yeah. So if you've seen a Blumhouse movie in the past 14 years, I probably worked on it. But to include Paranormal 2, 3, 4, Luigi movies, Purge movies, keep going, there you go. Fantasy Island, I did bring some Fantasy Island patches, if anybody wants one of those, if anyone saw it. Only if you saw it though, because I know not many people did. But But yeah, so I work a lot with Blumhouse now, and look it up, or I'll be here all day. Go, Jim.
Hey, I'm Jacob Rowland. I was a PA for many years on set. I am currently now a locations manager. I'm the guy that shows up at your house and says, hey, I love the way this place looks. Can we film here? That's my job now. But I spent many years on set working on Logan. I'm excited to see how the new Deadpool movie ties in that ending. And I did Transformers, Bumblebee. I worked many years on television shows like The Rookie, American Horror Story. I went through the grind like many others up here. And just recently I wrapped production on High School Musical and the Shrinking Season 2 on Apple TV with the great, amazing Dr. Indiana Jones, aka Han Solo, Mr. Harrison Ford. It was awesome. He's a really great guy. So yeah, it paid off. 10 years to finally meet Hans. It was cool.
Thank you guys so much for your introductions, and thank you all for being here to learn about what it is to get in as a production assistant, to work in film and TV. But also, my first question to you guys, who can give me the best definition to what is a production assistant? James?
It's changed over the years. No. Look, production, that's how I started. I started as a production assistant. And to me, still this day, the production assistants are my key. If I don't have production assistants, if the movie doesn't have production assistants, it doesn't get made, right? So a production assistant is, depending on what department you're in, but for my department specifically, the AD department, they're the heart and soul of our department. They do everything else. They do everything from, hey, could you not walk over here for a second? We're about to shoot a shot here and we don't want you to walk through the shot. And then they get told off by people, and that's always fun. So you have to have a really good attitude. But a production assistant is, they dip into everything, right? They'll help us do lockups. They'll do background. They'll do, don't tell the DGA. They'll do, okay, go get things. They do errands. But it is a great way to learn the business. Listen, learn, and you're going to know a lot of stuff by being a PA. You know, it's not there, and it is a job. That's the one thing I can tell you right now. It is a job. It's a fun job. We all wouldn't be here if it wasn't a fun job, but it is a job. But again, production assistant is a basically term exactly that, assist production, right? Whether it's in the costume department or the camera department, there are specific ones, but generally speaking, they work in the AD department. That's the most in a department.
Yeah, you could say that they're kind of like it's kind of like an internship because.
But you get paid more.
Yeah. On a big TV show movie where all of the different departments, you have the camera department and the grip and electric department, props, costumes. They're all in a union and they have their crafts. The productions come on and they're not in a union because they're trying to figure out kind of what you want to do in your career. The production assistant isn't a career. You get in at like an entry level, and it's almost like film school because you're on a set learning all the different departments. And
It's the best film school.
That's better than
To me personally.
You could be, a production assistant just in the production department, making sure like nobody comes out this door because we're shooting right here. But then if you like costumes or props, you can learn about that and then try to transition into the department where you want to go. So it's a stepping stone into figuring out what it is you want to do in life. It's like you don't have a major. You're in college, but you don't have a major.
I think that it's essentially what you make of it too. As a post-production assistant, I spent a lot of time shadowing the assistant editors because I knew that I wanted to go into editing. So I made sure I knew that my next step was to be an assistant editor and my ladder to editor. So I shadowed the assistant editors. I read a ton of books and I asked them what I should be doing and what I should be learning. But duties for post-production assistants are largely like running hard drives to different vendors with different media on them. Also can be getting lunches and helping build credits and other various duties. But I think across the board that the production assistant job is what you make of it.
I also want to say that a lot of times, the stereotype is the production assistant is getting coffee. But there's that moment where the production assistant, first of all, if I'm stuck somewhere and God, I really need that bottle of water. You bringing me that bottle of water is going to save me, and I'm going to remember that. But the other thing to know is that you're going to do, if you are a production assistant, you're going to do these little things that become so much bigger than you have any idea. And we were talking earlier, and one of the examples I gave is, for example, you are the PA that they stick at this door, and you're stuck just at that door, and you're not supposed to let people in. But then suddenly they decide the actor's coming through that door, and guess who gets to cue the actor? You do. And suddenly I know who you are, and I want you on my next show.
And
So
if you mess it up,
then I never want to talk to you. But you'll,
that's how integral it is.
exactly. But it's those little things, and if you take care of those little things and you do them well, I know that I can now give you the bigger things, and I'm going to want you on my team.
That happened to me on Sequest. When I was doing that, I was locking up a door, and then the next thing they go, you know what? Have Roy come in from that door there, and I'm like, okay. And I had been a PA for weeks or maybe a year at that point. But next thing I know, I'm like looking at Roy Scheider going, it's like, and again, if I screwed it up, they'd be like, no, you're out.
Yeah.
It's I mean, someone said it to me this way. They said it's an apprenticeship. Thank you. You're working with a lot of crafts people, and what they're hoping to do is teach you the craft. I mean, for us in the AD department, I like to think of us as like the nervous system of the set. We're there to make sure the information is passed down, that things happen, and if there's only 3 of us, we can't get it done. We need our PAs. They need to pass on that information, but they're also, when you interact with everybody else on set, you're gathering information. You come back to us and you say, hey, actually, something's going on over here, or I just heard this, or whatever. You might save the day. It might be an integral piece of information. So yeah.
So many times the low person on the, it's not the correct term, but
Proverbial.
I want to say, I don't want to say totem pole because that's not correct anymore, but the low, the person who's got the smallest job on set has saved the day. I mean, I once had PAs come up to me and go, Marisa, why is this actor coming in at 5 when they're like going to be in the next scene? And I'm like, oh, holy, and we fix it. So, it works, it happens.
The smallest details are very important. So like I was a set production assistant, which means I was like them on set. It's the in-your-face film school, and if you're paying attention to what's going on, and you take what you're doing very seriously, no matter how tedious it is. Like I said, I worked on Logan. The way I got on Logan was because I literally had a job plugging and unplugging a cord. That's it. And them seeing that I was confident enough to handle that and do it on cue, they brought me onto a team that they brought me into day play for their Splinter stunt unit. And they trusted me enough to understand safety on set, why it's important, and that allowed me to work with the stunt unit because that requires a lot of safety. You have to be loud, you have to be vocal. I talk loud in general. So like yelling, rolling, yelling, cut, you have to be vocal. Those details matter because like they said, they see you being vocal, they see you having the ability to step up and do that no matter how nervous you are and speak to someone that you don't know that's probably the director or the producer and you're like, hey, we're rolling. Shh, quiet. They love that. Well, excuse me.
Well,
these
most of
folks, the
them. We
ADs,
love
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
the producer's going to be a little iffy, but they'll say they did their job.
Yeah.
And that's what they like to hear. Those little details matter. That's how you step up. There's other forms of set PA. Can I get into background PA, base camp PA? There are different positions in the production set world, just like office PA. So like there's opportunity to learn more. If you want to move into the AD direction, I highly recommend running background and running base camp because you get to see the ins and outs of how that communication works. So every detail matters.
Explain what that is because
What base camp?
what is
Oh,
base
yeah,
camp? What
sorry.
does it mean to run background? They may not know.
Yeah, so background is
Can I
fun.
take that? Can I take that?
Yeah, I worked background many times.
If anyone here is married or has ever been to a wedding, if you look at a wedding, the bride and groom, or the bride and groom, the 2 people getting married, they're like the director, producer, writer. They have a vision and they wanted to do it this way. And then all of the pieces that come together are like a movie set. You have the wedding dress, so that's the costume department. You have the food, so there's catering or craft services. And then there's the DJ, so there's sound and electric. So you're putting together an event, and you have all these different departments, and they're trying to create this vision. So you have, you hear AD and DGA. So the assistant directors are like the wedding planner. They're making sure everything's on schedule, that people show up. Like, oh, we have 100 people, but only 50 chairs. Well, then let's talk to the location department. Can we get more chairs? So it's all these different departments that are responsible for one aspect of an event to make a finished product, like a wedding.
It's a great analogy.
No, it is.
And it's my wife and I's wedding anniversary. The analogy works.
But to kind of talk about the specifics of like being a PA in the AD department, you might be asked to run background. By that we mean help run background, in case anyone
Our
from
background
the DGA.
If we were shooting this right now, you guys would be the background, because you're all sitting there watching us, so we'd be the ones to place you. Okay, you're sitting there, you're sitting there, you're sitting until costume says move.
Yeah, exactly.
But, that's what it'd be, and then,
Also known as extras.
extras, extra
Nobody really,
background.
but they don't like being called extras.
They don't like extras.
Atmospheric actors
Yeah.
in the background. And,
But again-
and if costumes would move you, it's because, okay, there's two people wearing blue right next to each other. Can we please move that guy over there? Like, I'm already looking at everyone going, yeah, no, that won't work. That won't work.
But again, it's as an extra, we don't have a movie. It looks stupid.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, imagine going through New York Street and there's only two people walking that are talking, but no other people in the street. That would look weird. So that's what the extra is. They fill it.
That was your
make
rain
the
cover set.
Yeah, exactly.
To bring it back to the coffee,
Go.
if I'm getting somebody else some coffee, I get to get my own coffee too.
That's true. And we also have terms. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, as you guys can see, there's a lot that goes into specifically like working on set and being a PA, whether it's a film or a TV show, whatever. There's a lot of different stuff to learn. However, what's interesting is that you're probably wondering how do you start, how do you best get into it? And what's interesting is that there are a lot of different ways that you can start in this industry, from knowing people or seeing posts on Facebook groups or online, or even something simple as starting out as a background actor. Like for me personally, I started out with the background casting company, Central Casting, 10 years ago, when I got my first job on a little show called Parks and Recreation.
Are you going to Pat Oswald thing like that?
Yeah. And then from there, I networked with PAs and ADs, like some of these folks, which helped me get jobs as a PA on a lot of different shows. But everybody is different, and there's some similar areas, but it also depends on which field. And so my question to you guys, and I'm going to start with EJ, is how did you get your start in the industry?
All right. Well, I did try the background thing when I first moved to LA. I'm originally from Michigan. When I first moved to Go Blue. When I first moved to LA, I met Paul, and he's like, try background. Tried it, and the ADs were like, no. So it didn't work for me personally. But
That wasn't me. Was it?
That's all right.
they were like, no, we don't need this. Don't give this to me. Okay. So I just started, at the time, I didn't know anybody when I first moved to LA, so I started getting credits just by like joining projects, like just random projects to build my resume, and then I ended up joining like my alumni association offered mentors, and one of mine worked at Pop Sugar when it used to be like big, like BuzzFeed, and she brought me in, and I started off actually as an office PA, and once you get that first credit, whatever it is, then they'll be like, oh, well you've worked on something, so like, let's see, like yeah, we can bring you in and like just keep applying, but I started off as an office PA, and then I jumped around to a whole bunch of different other types, but then I came back to production, like on set.
And Ken, you've worked in a lot of writers' rooms as writers, PA, writers' assistant, and a lot of those jobs are particularly hard to get compared to set PA jobs. So how did you get started, and how did you basically, navigate through that?
I don't know if you can hear me. My story is kind of cliche Los Angeles. I took an improv class, and then I met, the trick was take Sunday mornings, because that's when all the other assistants take improv class. If you take it during the week, you're just going to be with actors, which is cool, but might not get you jobs. And I met someone, we both happened to be UCLA alumni. She connected me with her line producer, between, I was doing various other jobs in development, actually, which is like another field of like picking scripts to produce into content. But then I got the call to interview for the writer's PA position, and I didn't get it, but they offered me office PA, and they had just promoted their office PA to writer's PA. So I was like, definitely want to take that. And then stuck around, did a season, did a couple pilots, and then when we came back for the 6th season, they made me writer's PA.
Nice, nice. Now, I want to actually also ask this to Marisa as well, because you didn't start out as a production
I
assistant,
did
correct?
not. No, I actually come from the theater world, and I was in high school and I acted, and I thought I was really great. And I'm like, there's gotta be some kind of stage manager for film and TV, and that's how I found out about what an assistant director does, which is basically stage managing. And then I tried for what's called the DGA trainee program. And that's how I got in. I come from, my family works in hospitals. Like, my parents did not know what to do with a theater major. They were like, what? You got, you, they didn't know. My dad did not breathe a sigh of relief until I got my first credit. And even then, it's like, he didn't want to help me with, like, they helped me, of course, but they were like, you're getting a degree in theater? And then I got another degree in film. I got them both so that I could get into the trainee program. But I'm one of those people who, the degree actually helped me because I worked on student films, but I didn't have PA training. But because I had a degree in film and TV, at least that filled one of the criteria to get into the Director Guild training program. And let me tell you, that first year as a trainee, I was green, and it was hard. But I learned a lot, you know? Yeah.
Esther, what about you?
So I actually got my first job through craft service through Facebook. It was the night of the Oscars, so everybody's at home watching the Oscars, and one of the film groups was like, "I'm looking for a PA or a filmmaking job." Somebody posted, "Hey, I need a crafty PA immediately at this location," and I guess I was the first person to respond when everybody else was watching the Oscars. And so they gave me a location. I drove up, and they're like, I just helped them unload a truck and stood behind a table covered in food. Had no idea what this was. And then after, like, I ended up working with them for a while, and so I started talking to the ADs because I want to be an AD. And it's a lot harder for them to say no when you're handing them their food.
Yeah.
So I managed to follow some ADs into reality programming. So I did Finding Prince Charming. I worked on Big Brother for a while. And I know, but reality those PAs have a much harder life than set PAs in narrative. So I was like, I need to get out of here. And finally a prop guy gave my name to an AD, and again, they were like in the middle of the night shooting in Van Nuys, and they were like, oh, we need somebody right now. And I picked up the phone and they called, and yeah, that's how it went for me. Oh, I did get into the training program later, which I don't know how much time you want to spend on that, but I will say it's like, if you want to become an AD and you don't have any contacts or anything like that, or if you're having a hard time getting a set PA job, it is worth checking out the training plan because it is an actual apprenticeship. They put you on shows for 400 days, and you get the life kicked out of you. You realize what this industry actually is and what it means to be an AD. But by the time you're done with the 400 days, you're a member of the DGA.
And DGA is Directors Guild of America, right?
Yeah.
Which is pretty much everyone out there at Comic-Con who's doing the big movies. They're all part of the DGA right now.
And it's a paid internship, by the way. You also get health insurance. So it's brutal, and they own you till you're done. But I wouldn't have made it in.
Yeah. It's a bit like joining a cult, but it's
Yeah.
good. It's fantastic.
Another great
Just like that.
You know, there is also another sort of way to get in that most people don't do, but it does still happen. It's very rare, and that's to show up when you see someone filming in your neighborhood. I'm originally from Louisiana, and a production came through, and I had a buddy that's like, hey, you know there's a film right down the street on the corner. I was like, oh, by the circle. Okay, that's awesome. Let me go down there and look at it. Walk down there, and sure enough, it's the crew. Trucks down the street, people walking around on walkies and headsets, actors over there at the gas station, and like just seeing carts and equipment and cameras and everything up and running. You got the grip flags, you got the electric lights. It was awesome. I was like watching something I've only seen on TV when they do a behind the scenes. And so right there down the street, I walked up and I just hung out and watched, and my buddy was actually working with the show, got the attention of the AD. It was a non-union, independent project, but it was a big budget. They had the money for it. And he said, have you ever done PA work? And I said, no. He goes, are you interested in this? And I said, oh yeah, this is awesome. He's like, you ever done a lockup? And I said, I have no idea what that means. He's like, cool, take this headset. That was the answer, by the way. He didn't answer lockup, but I'll get to that. Take this headset, put it on. It's attached to this walkie. Just listen. Yell rolling when you hear rolling. Yell cut when you hear cut. And during that time, since this is your neighborhood, you know everyone, please don't let anyone walk through. Do your best to engage them in a conversation, to watch and enjoy so that they don't ruin our shop. And I was like, okay, no problem. And for 2 hours, I worked for free, and I learned what a lockup is, which is you having a space that you contain, and you're responsible for making sure people don't get through the ruined shop, and that you're coordinating rolls and cuts, especially when you're in a public space. You're working with the public citizens, people that are there, residents, people that have to get to work, got to get home, and you're communicating, you're doing your best. Over time, you learn how to navigate that. You can't always hold people up, but you just talk and you ask, and if you engage someone, that's your best way of stopping them. So for 2 hours, I worked for free, and the guy said, hey, give me your name and your number, and a week later, he called me, and I got to work on my very first show, and got paid that time.
Nice.
But it happens. If you see a production, ask questions. Don't be shy. It's your neighborhood. They're in your neighborhood. As a location manager, you can always ask for the location manager. We want to talk to you. We want you to know that we're in your neighborhood. So if someone on set is being rude to you, just say, hey, I know the location manager. Lie. Then I'll come out and say hi. And you can chat with me or whoever the location manager is.
I have another question to ask you guys, and then we'll open it up to a Q&A if anybody has any questions for our analysts here. So, what would you personally say is the best advice you could offer to anyone starting out? Not just like how to, get jobs, but also once your foot is in the door, how do you maintain it and advance your career? And Anna, I would like you to answer first.
I think the best way to maintain your foot in the door and to keep it opening and getting the ball rolling is just be a nice person and work hard and show that you work hard and show that you care. And, we work long hours in the film industry, so, again, being a nice person just kind of pays off because people want to be around you when they like you. Also, probably wear deodorant and take care of yourself because, again, long hours, so hygiene is important, but yeah, everyone, and it's true. It's true. But it's also good, to kind of befriend your coworkers because then, they don't have an open job, they call you, they want to work with their friends. So, you hear of people getting jobs from friends, and that's true. Make a friend.
James?
Oh, crap. Exactly. Kind of what you're saying there is once you're in, and I literally just had this. We were down in Athens, actually. Ezra and I were down in Athens, Georgia, doing a movie called Women in the Yard for Blumhouse. And for us, it was our first time in that area. So we get brought in from here, but we got to find local PAs because they're not going to bring a bunch of PAs from LA. And so, much like you were saying about, like Jacob was saying about the local thing in your neighborhood. So we basically hired some out of Atlanta, but then there was a young lady who just graduated from UGA, and when she did, we basically gave her the job, interviewed her. Ezra and I both interviewed her. Had a great personality. Was a waitress, so we okay, well, she actually has to deal with people. She has a great attitude, all that stuff. We brought her on, and then I had to tell her towards the end of the movie, I'm like, look, I'm going back to LA, right? I don't live in this community. So what you need to do, as we're going, I said, you need to talk to the other PAs, get to know the other PAs. There are ones there that have been working. There's ADs in town. Talk to them, work with them. Any of the local crew, talk. Just say, hey, look, keep me in mind, because those are the ones that are going to get your job. We can open the door for you and let you in, but we can't keep you in the room, right? So you have to prove yourself once you're there. No matter how you get in, you got to prove yourself once you're there. Do the job, listen, know the job, and if you don't know, ask. That's my biggest thing too. Is for Ezra and I, it's if you don't have a clue what we're talking about, like a lockup or whatever, just say, hey, gotcha. What is that? And then tell you real quick, and then go do it. It's fine. So, but again, attitude, networking is huge once you're in. That's how I kept getting my jobs. It's like my very first job, the ADs were like, hey, a buddy of mine's doing this job over there. Do you want to go interview for it? So I would do that, and I would work with a lot of the same ADs a lot when I first started off in Orlando. That's where I started the business. So, but kind of that's how I got into it. It's like, I ended up on a movie set. I ended up just sitting there watching, Dennis Quaid, and I'm like sitting there going, what am I doing here? How did I get here? Sitting there watching him, but I didn't worry about what he was doing. I talked to the PAs, the medic, all those guys, and that's how I got in. And that's how I kept working as well. I think attitude is a very big thing.
Attitude is huge.
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 Can I ask you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Also, something that's really good to keep in mind is don't be afraid and always have an open mind. Because sometimes you'll get calls from, like friends or people you've worked with before, like, hey, I know somebody who needs like another PA or somebody who needs any position. Are you available? And you might show up and not know a single soul. And just never, just keep your mind open for new things. Sometimes they'll give you assignments that they're like, oh, are you interested in doing walkies? And you're like, I've never done that. I'm like, sure. Just keep a great attitude, and even if you don't know how to do it, you can learn along the way. So don't think just because you've never done it before, you can't do it, or don't be closed off like, oh, I might not be good at it. Like, go ahead. You might make mistakes, but it's okay. You'll learn. You'll get better. So
Sometimes they don't even tell you what the job is because it might be a secret. Like I get a text message saying, "Are you available tomorrow?" I'm like, "Yeah, I need the work." And then eventually, well, we're not going to send you any emails or anything. Just be downtown at this address at this time. And I get there, it was Suicide Squad. It was reshoots for the first Suicide Squad movie. Now it was just driving downtown LA, so I was just on a sidewalk making sure people don't run in the street. But then one of the key set PA came and said, "Hey, can you come back tomorrow?" I was like, "Yeah, great. Where is it?" "Can't tell you." What are we shooting? "Can't tell you." "Okay, I'll come tomorrow." That very next day, we were on stage, and it was pretty much all of the actors. Margot Robbie was there. Jared Leto was there. My first thing I had to do that day, Jared Leto only drinks water out of glass bottles, so I had to go to the grocery store and buy some water in glass bottles and put them in Jared Leto's trailer. And then, later on stage, I'm locking up the door, and here comes the Joker, full character, and he comes into the stage and he's like, "It's cold in here." So you never know what job you're gonna have, so just take the work.
Every day is something different on set.
Yeah.
So you want to add something?
Yeah, just a couple of things. If I want people to keep in mind, if you do pursue this job, and the first one is just if you make a mistake while you're on set, it's fine. Just don't make the same mistake twice.
Own the mistake.
Say yes, I did it. Learn from it. Move forward. It's less about the mistake and more about how you pick yourself up and handle it. And the other thing is this industry, you deal with a lot of different personalities and a lot of different characters and temperaments. So know what your limit is, what you'll accept for yourself and what you won't accept for yourself. I think you have to really know who you are as a person and approach the job confidently in that sense, because once you know what you'll take and what you won't take from another human being, it's easier to interact with other people.
Don't be afraid to tell people, I understand what you're saying, I hear you, I made a mistake, but you can talk to me differently.
Yeah.
You can speak to me as a human. Don't be afraid to stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
That's something we're all working on in this industry as well. And going off of what Ezra was saying earlier EJ, is also when to keep the job, to keep the job, common sense, don't overthink what you're told to do. Like she said, when you show up and you're not sure what to do, just say, "I got this, what do you need from me?" And just pay attention, listen, use common sense. Don't overthink it, don't hurt yourself, just apply what you know, and if you don't know, ask. And you will find out. Because the thing is, it's very easy what we do, it's just there's a ton of terms and there's a way to do it that you may not understand at first, but you will easily pick it up. and it becomes second nature, and you love it. You honestly love it. If you wake up after your first day on set and you have a smile on your face and you are just to the bone, tired and exhausted, but you're so happy, that's what you need to be doing. This is the job for you.
I'm still waiting for that day.
I love it.
I just want, I love it too, I was joking. But I did want to say also, be proactive. If you're starting in this industry, one of the things that you're going to end up doing is locking up. And really, all you have to do is go to your place when it's time to roll, and then you come back in. And I have so many of those PAs who will come back in and they'll just sit there and they'll just chitter chat, blah, 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 blah. It's the PA who comes to me and says, hey, I noticed that this needs to be moved because I know this is our next shot. Do you want me to start doing that? Oh, yeah. And I'm tattooing your name on my arm. You know, because that's amazing. So proactive is huge. One of my favorite TV shows is West Wing. And my two favorite quotes are, I serve at the pleasure of the president, which in this case is the AD team, and what's next? And you have to constantly be asking those two questions. What's next? And what can I do to serve at the pleasure of my team?
If I could add one thing, sort of that goes to both starting out and I think also ultimately will help you continue and rise up to what you want to do, is tell people what you want to do. I think for some reason you get into the job and then people look at you and they start to think you want to be a writer's PA forever. So you just got to remind them, like, hey, I actually do also write things and I'd like to be a writer in the long run. But I think in the same way, if you are going around here, you're telling people you want to be a director and you're open to doing the first step towards that of being a set PA, or you want to be a costume designer and you're doing that first step, that's how you hear about it.
Make friends.
Yeah.
And don't expect to jump right to the top or work your way up. That's
Yeah.
what we did. Yeah. We've all done it. We all work our way up.
You should PA at least for 2 years, and by then you're still green, but the leaves are shedding.
Nice.
That's how I look at it. Green is a term for being very new.
Yeah.
We use lots of weird terms.
Like we don't call a
Yeah. Do you guys have any questions for
Yeah,
us? Yes, I see. I see you. Yes.
How soon do you think you should get started if you want to be in the business? Like if we're in school, how soon after do you think we should start?
Immediately.
As soon as you graduate, you're ready to get to work for it. Do it.
Even if you're over 18, even like summer internships or like if you get the opportunity, like summer internships or anything. So as soon as you can.
there's a lot of groups on Facebook.
I'm actually going to go against that. And I lived a very sheltered life, and I personally believe I started the trainee, I became a trainee when I was 23. And I had thin skin. You know yourself, give yourself time. Start slow if you think you're that kind of person. And go in easy. So yeah, start soon, but go in easy if you think that you may not be ready for the rough stuff.
Take background work.
Yeah, take
That's a good way
background
to
work. It's a
learn.
great
That's
way
a-
to be way back, yeah.
It's a good way to learn if you can handle being on set, and you can handle, taking direction, but also taking direction from someone who might have a bit of a temper, and they've got a million things going on, so they may be a bit aggressive with how they direct things. So it's like they're yelling, but not necessarily yelling at you, but they're yelling, and
Yeah.
they're yelling at you.
Yeah.
And someone said internships, that's what I did during college, and it's usually in a more corporate setting or like behind the scenes, but it does definitely open the doors and teach you a lot. There's also agency training programs, and you will meet, I've heard mixed stories about the experience, but you will meet everyone through that if you go that route.
Okay, next question. Yes, what do you think? This gentleman, sorry. Go ahead, yeah.
I graduated college last year, right when the strike started.
Great.
And everyone I know is struggling to get even that. I don't know anyone that's PA actually in my class. It's very competitive right now. How did you guys get that first PA position? Because even that, like the internships, you can't do that when you graduate now. Because of how what it was. So it's PA or nothing.
Look, I think right now what we're going through with this slowdown isn't something that won't happen again, and it's not something that hasn't happened before. Maybe not to this scale, but it's going to change. You know what I mean? It sucks that it happened right when you graduated. I'm so sorry, dude. go get a job as a waiter or something else, something that gives you a comparable skill, something that allows you to deal with all different types of personalities, live your life in the meantime, and keep trying. The film industry isn't going anywhere. We're not going to go away. Whether it changes and becomes something else and we distribute and we view films in a different way, these jobs are going to be around for a long time. I know we're all worried about AI and all that stuff, but we're going to be okay. Just keep trying.
If it helps, man, before I got on set, I was 27 years old by the time I got to actually be a production assistant. Before that, I worked in radio. I used the skills that I graduated with an associate's degree in telecommunications and film. It had nothing to do with my job in Hollywood. That was me, like I said, the production came to town. So if you see filming in your area, go out there, say hi, check it out. Don't be shy. Tell them you're interested. Put your name out there. Try and speak to someone and get that info out there. In the meantime, keep hitting the grind. Work in something related to film. Go be a concessionist at a movie theater. Go try and be a projectionist. Did he even have projectionists? I think it was the last Special Flex film. Okay, I just dated myself. Sorry. But like, work in radio. Go talk to local news stations. Don't be shy. Just because you're young, anyone out here, just because you're young, do not be shy and think that, oh, they're gonna overlook me and think I'm not qualified. They might, but they might not. So do it. Try it. Put yourself out there.
What city are you in? I'm in North Hollywood right now. Oh, okay. So there's two answers to that. One, there are a lot of different websites. One of them is called staffmeup.com.
Yes.
And they have like little gigs on there. Like if it's a commercial that's shooting for 2 days, they'll say, I need a production assistant for 2 days, and then you just apply. There's reality shows and competition shows. They post on Staff Me Up. And there's a website called Hollylist. There's a lot of different websites that post jobs, and they're not looking for someone that's super experienced, that's not a full-time job. They just need someone for 1 day. There's also a lot of Facebook groups. So just sit there. You could spend 3 days and list off like 30 different websites with all the different places that people post jobs. And then another thing that we've always talked about is being a background actor. You sign up with Central Casting, and as soon as you sign up, you go and you fill out your paperwork because it's a paid job. You fill out your I-9. They take a picture and they start submitting you. And what do you know? You'll get a text that says, "Are you available to work tomorrow on Grey's Anatomy as a patient visitor?" And then boom, you're on a TV show, and then you get to talk to the PAs and the ADs and
Say hi to
and
Brandon.
learn. Yeah.
I've always said that, to add to this, I've always said that Facebook groups looking for crew jobs and film jobs and background acting are like the two of the best ways that you can at least get onto a set that they don't teach you in film school. Like this is like, even though I went to film school, these were the ways that I was able to get in, find jobs and get work and build up my resume, and why I was able to work with a lot of these folks here. So these are the ways to do it. There's some Facebook groups like, I need a production assistant, or I need a paid production assistant, or paid production crew jobs. What are some of those guys?
People doing short film projects.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do some things for like a day or two for free, but that experience and who you're doing it with, they might be someone in a position that's like, hey, this is just a project, but like, I know this guy on this show, I work like doing this on this show. And they might bring you in. Some people are ADs, some people are PAs that make short films.
Yeah.
When you come and show up and you show out, they're gonna look at you and be like, all right, I'll vouch for you, and I'll talk to my AD that hires you. When I was a PA, that's what I did. Every person I worked with, if I was available, I gave my ADs that I liked, that liked me and trusted me, I gave them contact information. I met
A couple other bars that regularly have like industry events that you can probably join, chat with people. The second one is for the office, all of our hiring goes through the production coordinator and assistant production coordinator, and they have like a special union email, and they search for PAs there, and then people recommend people. So I would like go on LinkedIn and network with production coordinators. That's probably like a good way to, if you meet for coffee and things go well, get your name into an email chain that's going to be blasted to everybody in the union.
say hi, check in when you do get those contacts. Only respond every 2 weeks. Don't respond every day. Like, don't be aggressively hitting them up.
I see a gentleman
Yeah.
over here. He has his hand.
It's
Yeah, like you just look up DGA trainee and you can find it.
I see someone over here. Yes. Well, I know in my
No, it's actually an excellent question because there are a lot of like scam artists out there who will say, "Oh, yes, I need this person," but then they'll like start telling you things like, "Give me a check" or something like that. Like,
Don't
"Pay
do
my
that.
check" or
Don't do
something
that.
like that
You
from
will
your
have an
bank
interview
account.
before you ever get your personal.
But this is you kind of have to use your best judgment, and then a lot of the times those scam artists, when they do try that, other people will post in those groups and say, "Watch out for this person because they did this."
Right.
There's a big community for that in all the different Facebook groups, and I know in my experience on the groups, they need to put the rate for the project as well to show that it is legit, and show like the times and everything, and like where you can send your info to.
The rate is how much you're
There's-
getting paid.
Yes.
There's also a Facebook group called Crew Stories. If you go to Crew Stories, if you find an ad and you go, this doesn't look legit to me, go on Crew Stories. And there's a whole bunch of real crew members, myself included, who'll be like, that's bogus, and that person is not someone you can
I think we're
trust.
probably on
Crew
Cruise
Stories,
Story.
yeah.
I like
Yeah.
it just reunification. It's fun.
They'll talk about it,
It
yeah.
gets heated, man.
Okay, enough of that.
This gentleman over here. Yes.
Nope.
No.
Absolutely not. I was 27 when I started.
Oh, no, but that's, I feel like around 27 around 27 or so, I feel like that's kind of the average age of PAs that I've worked with.
That's the fun thing about our business is there's people that come in that used to work as a police officer or any other field, and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna try that thing, and there's no cut. If you can do the job, there you go.
I've worked with PAs who are like over 50, but if you can do the job,
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest question they're going to ask, and you're going to be able to say that in an interview, is I don't have a problem taking orders from someone a lot younger than me.
Yeah.
And that's all that matters.
you spend a lot of hours on your feet.
Yeah.
That'd be an adventure.
Cool.
You do.
I mean, yeah.
Good
Uh,
shoes.
this gentleman over here. Yes. Someone who, I'm sorry, what was that? Someone with physical limitations, working in, on set.
There's still office positions.
Different departments.
Yeah, different departments.
I would say, I was doing, the week I got the job, I was doing Cocaine Bear. And I
Like the
lit-
bear at the end of
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I was doing cocaine. Still, no. Cocaine Bear. And I got the call, and I was doing it, I had a couple of meetings with Liz, and all of a sudden, I ruptured my Achilles. Next thing I know, I'm like, oh, where are we shooting? Oh, cool, Disney Ranch back in the woods. That's gonna be fun. And so I was on a knee scooter, and it's like, you know what? So if somebody comes to me in my department and goes, hey, I need this thing here, I'm like, yeah, let's work it out, let's figure it out.
Oh, I think I was day playing. I worked one day on the Veronica Mars movie, or the Veronica Mars second series.
Yeah, that was really
And it was on location with like 200 background with car, and I was supposed to be directing cars, but I sprained my ankle, and I couldn't. Oh yeah, you were there, and I couldn't walk. So then the AD was like, okay, well then you're just gonna go in the background holding, and you're gonna check in everybody. So she let me sit down, and there was another job to do.
I kept telling you you were lazy all day. You're not doing your job.
No,
Yeah,
he's
there's
doing a better job.
there's tons of people on set who are differently able. Like there are a lot of people who have worked out a way to do their job with their capabilities. So I wouldn't let it stop you. There's a million things to do on a film set.
Tell them what you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun fact, so on that Veronica Mars, let's see, I don't know if anyone here is a Veronica Mars fan. Brandon was the one who got me to work on that show, and that's how I met Jacob.
It all connects, guys. It all connects.
It is, once you're in, it may look big, but it is a small business.
Yeah.
I know people from Canada to Atlanta to New England.
And don't
It's
just
a
put your,
small business. Watch what you say.
Yeah.
Be careful.
yeah. And don't just put your foot in the door. Kick that door open.
I think someone else, yes?
time.
Okay.
I got photos if you just want me to show you my photos.
There was a TV show called Martial Law.
We only have 5 minutes.
Okay, I'll make it quick. The TV show called Martial Law, and I used to work the second unit all the time. And it was a scene where they had background, and the first AD was, I want to say Chinese, and if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But he had a very strong accent. And the second AD came to me, I was the second at the time. The second AD came to me and said, he's probably going to relax the background soon. And I was like, okay, great. So he goes on show 1 and goes, oh, he's going to release the background soon. He's going to release the background soon. I was like, okay, great. I'm ready to sign them all out. And then the first AD comes on channel 1 and says, release the background. And I'm like, okay, I'm signing him out. He second goes, oh, did you release him? I'm like, yeah, he released the background. Okay, next shot is the background. And I'm like, now this wasn't a restaurant scene with people walking in and out. This wasn't a street scene. This was a hostage scene where there were specific background that were chosen. That sucked. And he had said, relax the background, not release the background. And that taught me to double check. I'm surprised I didn't get fired, but it turns out they actually had enough coverage that they were able to go to the shot, but I basically just didn't want to wake up the next day. It sucked.
I think it's a
That's
rite of
it.
passage to release the background.
Yeah.
That's not like a rite of passage, just to release the background when you're not supposed to. And I ran background for 5 years. I knew that.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to share a mistake?
I'll share a mistake. I did it as an AD, not even as a PA. This wasn't that long ago.
I was an 18 man excuse.
If it's on one of my movies, she's fired.
Oh no, it was. we had a door. We were looking at it. The camera's looking at it. The PA's like, "Hey, this door's kind of open. There's a cable running through it." I'm like, "Let's get it. We're looking at it. Get it closed." They got the cable pulled, and all the lights went down. And I had to go and apologize to the gaffer because we didn't ask him before they unplugged it. But no, it was on.
Okay. Oh. That was one of my movies. She's out. If you guys see the movie Afraid with John Cho, that's the one she's talking about.
I blew a lockup and made camera right next to number 1 in a period piece wearing my big, bright red $5 custom-made $5 Harley t-shirt. It was awesome. You're all going to make mistakes and live it up, love it. You're going to get teased for it, you're going to get hazed for it. It's the rite of passage.
You might get a nickname from it.
Yeah.
I did not, but yeah.
Last looks on Jacob. I got that all day. Did you get wired yet?
Well, you guys, we have to wrap it up here, but if you have any other questions, come see us outside.
We'll be outside.
Thank you so much for coming to our panel.
Thank you all.
Thank you to our Swedish panel. Thank you to our panelists. Have a good rest of your time.